Well, the numbers are not official, but somewhere around 84 million people tuned in to last night's presidential debate on their TV sets, which would make it the most watched debate in TV history.
That's right, and today supporters of each candidate either claim victory or that the debate was somehow unfair.
So what did the candidates themselves think? For that answer, we are now joined by KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan. Dave.
Yeah, so the polls are showing Hillary Clinton won the debate and Donald Trump won the debate, right? Go figure. I mean, they're all over the map. And as we indicated, with those polls being all over the map, we don't know who the debate winner is officially yet, but sometimes you can tell more about who the candidates themselves think won by watching their reactions the day after.
Almost every single poll had us winning the debate against crooked Hillary Clinton.
In battleground Florida Tuesday night, Donald Trump declared victory after presidential debate number 1. And in North Carolina, another battleground state, Hillary Clinton did the same thing at her rally.
Did anybody see that debate last night? Oh, yes. 1 down, 2 to go.
But while Clinton moved on to other issues, Trump was still blaming everything from the moderator, whom he charged went easy on Clinton.
Well, he didn't ask her about the emails at all. He didn't ask her about her scandals. He didn't ask her about the Benghazi deal that she destroyed.
To the microphone, which he suggested may have been rigged.
It was much lower than hers.
Okay.
I don't want to believe in conspiracy theories, of course, but it was much lower than hers, and it was crackling. And she didn't have that problem.
And at his Florida rally, Trump accused the news media of propping up Clinton in the polls.
The single weapon that she's got is the media. Without the mainstream media, she wouldn't even be here, folks. That I can tell you. She wouldn't even be here. She wouldn't have a chance.
And the Trump blame game extended to former Miss Universe 1996, Alicia Machado from Venezuela, who now lives in L.A. and is an American citizen. At the debate, Clinton charged Trump called her abusive and degrading names like Miss Housekeeping when he was the executive producer of the beauty pageant.
He called this woman Miss Piggy. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Trump didn't deny the charge at the debate, but said it was because she gained weight.
She was the worst we ever had. The worst, the absolute worst. She was impossible. She was the winner, and she gained a massive amount of weight, and it was a real problem. We had a real problem. Not only that, her attitude.
Now the Clinton campaign has released a video of Machado, who charged she became bulimic after Trump humiliated and degraded her publicly when she gained a few pounds, forcing her to work off the weight while the paparazzi snapped videos and photos. Here's what she told CNN Tuesday night.
He was really rude with me. He was, he tried to destroy my self-esteem, and now I'm a voice in the Latin community.
But did the debate change people's minds? Well, here are some reactions from debate watchers across the country.
Trump did not look crazy or like a madman. I think Hillary got some good licks on him, so that's why I would maybe call it a draw.
He had no facts. There was no plans, no facts, no plans, and Hillary delivered, and that's someone that, would get my vote.
If you're a Trump supporter, you're going to stick with Trump, and if you're a Hillary supporter, you're going to stick with Hillary. I don't think a lot came out of this debate as far as switching people's minds.
Yeah, he's probably right. The hardcore supporters on both sides are not likely to switch, even if a candidate brags about not paying taxes while most Americans are paying through the roof. But the debates are about energizing the candidates' bases and appealing to voters in the middle who haven't yet made up their minds, Jeff.
Dave, so let's talk a little bit about that, because debate number 1 is over. We have 2 more debates. So what does the impact of debate number 1 have for the campaigns now?
Well, the interesting thing now is that at this point, as we indicated, this is really the first debate, and it could have an enormous impact on who wins and who loses in November, even if it only influences a relatively small number of voters. Here's why. It likely had the biggest audience by far of the 3 presidential debates this year. Early voting is already beginning in some significant states and will begin soon in several others. And because the race is so close right now in so many states, it won't take an avalanche of voter decisions to change the outcome. We'll know a lot more in the next few days when a flurry of new polls will be coming out. Lena?